Have you ever felt this? You understand English. You can read it. You can watch YouTube videos. You can follow movies with subtitles. But when it's time to speak, your mind goes blank. Your heart beats faster. Your throat feels tight. And suddenly, all the words disappear. You think, maybe I'm not good at languages. Maybe I started too late. Maybe I need a teacher. Maybe I can't improve alone. Let me ask you something important. Who told you that you cannot improve by yourself? Who decided that English only grows inside a classroom? Who said fluency requires expensive courses? Because today, I want to challenge that belief. And I want you to listen carefully, not just with your ears, but with your mindset. Because what I'm about to tell you might completely change how you see your English journey. Most learners believe they are stuck, but they are not stuck. They are just practicing the wrong way. There is a big difference. Being stuck means there is no path forward. Practicing the wrong way means you are working hard, but not effectively. And that's fixable, very fixable, especially if you are alone. In fact, sometimes being alone is an advantage. Yes, an advantage, because when you are alone, there is no pressure, no embarrassment, no one judging your accent, no one correcting you mid-sentence, no one laughing. It is just you and your voice, and that is powerful. Let's be honest. Many English learners depend too much on other people. They wait for a speaking partner, a native friend, a class, a teacher, a perfect environment. And while they are waiting, months pass, years pass, confidence decreases. But here's something most people never realize. Fluency does not begin in conversation. It begins in private. It begins when no one is watching. It begins when you speak, even if nobody answers. Think about athletes. Do they only train during competitions? No, they train alone, early mornings, late nights, repeating the same movement hundreds of times. Think about singers. Do they only sing on stage? No, they rehearse alone. They practice scales. They record themselves. They adjust. English is the same, but nobody teaches you that. Maybe you live in a small town. Maybe your family does not speak English. Maybe your coworkers don't either. Maybe you moved to the United States recently and you feel surrounded by English, but still alone. You hear conversations at the grocery store, at work, on the train. People speak fast. They use expressions you don't know. And you think, I will never sound like that. Stop. Pause. Take a breath. You are not behind. You are just at a different stage. And stages are temporary. They change, but only if you take control. Today's episode is not about motivation only. It is about responsibility. Because here's the truth. Nobody can practice for you. Nobody can build your confidence for you. Nobody can move your mouth for you. If you are waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect partner, the perfect class, you may wait forever. But if you decide today, I will become my own English partner, everything changes. Let me tell you a small story. There was a learner who moved to the United States. He worked long hours. He felt shy speaking. At work, he answered only yes or no. At home, he stayed silent. He believed his English was weak. But one day, he made a simple decision. Every night before sleeping, he spoke out loud for 10 minutes, alone. He described his day. He imagined conversations. He practiced introductions. No teacher, no partner, just him. After 3 months, something interesting happened. At work, someone asked him a question, and instead of answering yes or no, he explained. He gave details. He felt nervous, but he did it. What changed? Not his grammar, not his vocabulary. His habit changed. He stopped waiting. He started practicing alone. Maybe you are thinking, but talking alone feels strange. Of course it does. Anything new feels strange. The first time you went to the gym felt strange. The first time you drove felt strange. The first time you spoke English felt strange. Strange does not mean wrong. Strange means unfamiliar. And unfamiliar becomes comfortable with repetition. Let me ask you something personal. When you think in your native language, is it fast? Yes. Is it automatic? Yes. Do you translate each word? No. That's because your brain is trained. English can become the same, but only if you train it. Not once a week, not only during class, daily, small sessions, consistent repetition. That is how fluency is built. Quietly, privately, powerfully. Many learners say, I understand English, but I cannot speak. But understanding is passive. Speaking is active. Listening is recognition. Speaking is production. You must train production. And you can absolutely do that alone. In fact, you should, because when you practice alone, you make mistakes freely. You experiment, you repeat, you try again. There is no pressure to be perfect, and perfection is the biggest enemy of fluency. Here is a mindset shift. Instead of asking, who can practice with me? Ask, how can I practice with myself? That question changes everything, because the answer is always available. You are always available. You wake up with yourself. You commute with yourself. You go to sleep with yourself. You are the only partner who never leaves. So why not use that? In this series, I am going to show you how to build a private English system, how to train your brain to think in English, how to reduce fear, how to improve pronunciation alone, how to simulate conversations, how to grow confidence step by step. But today, in this first part, I want you to understand something deeper. You are not weak. You are not slow. You are not incapable. You are simply untrained. And training is a choice. Imagine 30 days from now. You wake up. You start thinking in English automatically. You describe your morning routine without translating. You feel less nervous ordering coffee. You answer coworkers with full sentences, not perfect sentences, but confident sentences. That future version of you exists, but only if today's version of you decides to begin. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. So here is your first assignment. No techniques yet, no complicated strategies, just awareness. From today, notice how often you think, I can't. Every time you think that, replace it with, I am learning. Not I'm fluent, not I'm perfect, just I am learning. Because learners improve, quitters stay stuck, and you are not a quitter. You are listening to this episode. You are investing time. That already shows commitment. In the next part, we will start building your solo English system step by step. Simple, practical, powerful. But before we move forward, I want you to say something quietly, even if you are alone. Say, I can improve my English by myself. Say it again, slowly. I can improve my English by myself. Because that belief is the foundation. Without belief, no technique works. With belief, even small practice becomes powerful. This is English Teaching Friends, and today you are not alone. You are training, you are building, you are becoming stronger. Stay with me. In the next part, we begin the real system, and it might surprise you how simple it is. When you're ready, tell me, continue to part 2, and we will go even deeper. Part 2. Train your brain, not just your vocabulary. Before we talk about techniques, before we talk about pronunciation, before we talk about grammar, we need to fix something more important. Your brain. Yes, your brain is not the problem, but it is not trained for English production. Most learners train input, listening, reading, watching videos, but very few train output thinking. Let me explain something simple. When someone asks you a question in English, what happens inside your mind? First, you understand the English sentence. Then your brain translates it into your native language. Then you prepare an answer in your native language. Then you translate that answer back into English. Then you speak. This entire process takes maybe 2 or 3 seconds, but in conversation, 2 seconds feels like 10, and that pause creates anxiety. That anxiety creates fear, and that fear creates silence. So the real issue is not vocabulary, it is translation delay. And translation delay happens because your brain still believes thinking happens in my native language. We need to change that belief. Let me tell you something powerful. Fluency is not about knowing more words, it is about reducing translation time. That's it. When translation time becomes 0, confidence appears. So how do we reduce translation? We stop translating. But how? Step by step, gently, daily. Here is the first mental exercise. From today, stop translating simple things. Not everything, just simple daily thoughts. For example, you wake up. Instead of thinking in your native language, I am tired, say it in English, inside your head or out loud. I am tired. You go to the kitchen. Say, I need coffee. You look outside. It's crowdy today. These are simple sentences, very simple, but powerful, because they train direct thinking. No translation, just direct English thought. At first, your brain will resist. It will feel slower. You might even feel mentally tired. That is normal. You are building a new neural pathway, and new pathways require repetition. Think about when you first learned to drive. At the beginning, you thought about everything: brake, mirror, signal, steering. Now you drive automatically. Why? Repetition. English thinking works the same way. Repetition builds automatic response. Let's go deeper. There are 3 levels of thinking in English. Level 1, forced thinking. You force yourself to think in English. It feels slow. Level 2, mixed thinking. Half English, half native language. You switch back and forth. Level 3, automatic thinking. English thoughts appear naturally. Our goal is level 3, but we must pass through levels 1 and 2 first. Do not skip stages. Do not rush. Trust the process. Now, I want you to imagine something. You are standing in line at a grocery store. Instead of scrolling your phone, use that time. Look around. Describe what you see in English. The cashier is talking to a customer. The line is long today. I forgot to buy milk. Nobody hears you, but your brain is practicing. These micro practices add up. 5 minutes here, 3 minutes there. By the end of the day, maybe you practiced thinking for 20 minutes without even realizing it. And that is powerful. Let's talk about another problem: perfectionism. Many learners refuse to think in English because they think, what if my sentence is wrong? Who cares? You are not in an exam. You are training. Mistakes inside your head cost nothing. In fact, mistakes are useful because when you later hear the correct version in a podcast or video, your brain notices the difference faster. That is called active learning. Now I want to introduce something called micro-conversations. You can simulate small dialogues in your mind. For example, imagine someone asks you, "How is your weekend?" Pause. Answer inside your mind. "My weekend was relaxing. I stayed home and watched a movie." Then imagine a follow-up question. "What movie did you watch?" Answer again. "It was an action movie. I really enjoyed it." This is mental rehearsal. Athletes use it. Speakers use it. Why shouldn't language learners use it? The brain does not fully distinguish between real conversation and vividly imagined conversation. So when real conversation happens, you feel less surprised, less nervous, more prepared. Let's slow down for a moment. Take a breath. Ask yourself, how many hours a day do you think? Probably many. Now imagine if even 30% of those thoughts were in English. Do you understand how powerful that would be? You would be living in an English environment, even if you live alone. That is the secret. Environment is not always physical. It is mental. Here is another small exercise. Label your surroundings in English. Not physically, mentally. You sit at your desk. Say, "This is my desk. This is my laptop. I have a meeting soon." When you cook, "I am cutting vegetables. The food smells good." When you shower, "The water is warm." It sounds simple. It is simple. But consistency makes simple things extraordinary. Let's address fear. Sometimes when you try to think in English, you feel blank. You don't know the word. That is okay. Do not immediately switch to your native language. Try to explain the word in simple English. For example, you forget the word umbrella. Instead of switching languages, say, "It's the thing we use when it rains." This builds flexibility. Real conversation is not about perfect vocabulary. It is about expressing ideas, and ideas can be expressed in many ways. Now I want to share something important. Your brain loves comfort. Your native language is comfortable. English thinking is uncomfortable. So your brain will try to pull you back to comfort. You must gently resist. Not aggressively, not with frustration. Gently. Every time you catch yourself thinking in your native language, switch, even for one sentence. That small switch is progress. Imagine you practice this daily for 30 days. Not perfectly, just consistently. By day 10, thinking in English feels less strange. By day 20, you begin forming longer thoughts. By day 30, you notice something surprising. When someone asks you a question in English, Your answer appears faster. Not perfect, but faster. That speed reduces anxiety. Reduced anxiety increases confidence. Confidence improves performance. It is a cycle, and it begins with thinking. Let me ask you something honest. Do you spend time worrying about your English? Do you think, I'm not good enough, I'm behind, I should be better by now? Imagine if instead of worrying, you used that mental energy to practice thinking in English. Worry produces nothing. Practice produces improvement. Small improvement, but real improvement. In the next part, we will move from thinking to speaking, because thinking builds foundation, but speaking builds courage. And courage is what most learners truly need. Before we finish this part, I want you to commit to one thing. For the next 24 hours, try to think in English for at least 5 minutes total. Not 5 minutes at once, just total. Spread it throughout the day, morning, afternoon, evening. 5 minutes. That's it. Small steps, big impact. This is English Teaching Friends. You are training your brain. You are building new pathways. You are becoming faster. Stay with me. In part 3, we will activate your voice, and that's where real transformation begins. When you're ready, say continue to part 3. Part 3. Your voice is a muscle. Let me ask you something important. How often do you actually hear your own English voice? Not inside your head, out loud. How often do you physically speak English when no one is around? Be honest. For many learners, the answer is almost never. And that is the real reason speaking feels uncomfortable. Because speaking is not just mental, it is physical. Your tongue must move differently. Your lips must shape sounds differently. Your breathing must adjust. Your rhythm must change. English has a different music than your native language, and music cannot be learned silently. Here is something powerful to understand. Your voice is a muscle system. Just like going to the gym, if you only watch workout videos but never lift weights, your body will not change. If you only listen to English but never move your mouth, your speech will not grow. Listening builds understanding. Speaking builds ability. And ability requires repetition. Many learners say, I'm shy. I feel silly talking alone. I don't like how my voice sounds. Listen carefully. Nobody sounds fluent in the beginning. Nobody sounds confident the first time. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is a repetition result. The more you hear your own English voice, the less strange it feels. The less strange it feels, the less fear you have. The less fear you have, the more you speak. This is another cycle, and you must start it. Today, I will give you a powerful but simple practice. It is called structured self-speaking, and it works like this. Every day, choose one simple topic. Very simple. For example, your morning routine, your job, your favorite food, your childhood memory, your weekend plan. Set a timer for 3 minutes and speak. Out loud, not whispering, not thinking silently, actually speaking, full voice. Even if you make mistakes, even if you pause, even if you repeat words, keep speaking. If you run out of ideas, ask yourself a question and answer it. For example, what time did I wake up today? I woke up at 7. How did I feel? I felt tired but motivated. This keeps the conversation moving. Part 3. Your voice is a muscle. Let me ask you something important. How often do you actually hear your own English voice? Not inside your head, out loud. How often do you physically speak English when no one is around? Be honest. For many learners, the answer is almost never. And that is the real reason speaking feels uncomfortable. Because speaking is not just mental, it is physical. Your tongue must move differently. Your lips must shape sounds differently. Your breathing must adjust. Your rhythm must change. English has a different music than your native language, and music cannot be learned silently. Here is something powerful to understand. Your voice is a muscle system. Just like going to the gym, if you only watch workout videos but never lift weights, your body will not change. If you only listen to English but never move your mouth, your speech will not grow. Listening builds understanding. Speaking builds ability. And ability requires repetition. Many learners say, "I'm shy. I feel silly talking alone. I don't like how my voice sounds." Listen carefully. Nobody sounds fluent in the beginning. Nobody sounds confident the first time. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is a repetition result. The more you hear your own English voice, the less strange it feels. The less strange it feels, the less fear you have. The less fear you have, the more you speak. This is another cycle, and you must start it. Today, I will give you a powerful but simple practice. It is called structured self-speaking, and it works like this. Every day, choose one simple topic. Very simple. For example, your morning routine, your job, your favorite food, your childhood memory, your weekend plan. Set a timer for 3 minutes and speak. Out loud, not whispering, not thinking silently, actually speaking, full voice. Even if you make mistakes, even if you pause, even if you repeat words, keep speaking. If you run out of ideas, ask yourself a question and answer it. For example, what time did I wake up today? I woke up at 7. How did I feel? I felt tired but motivated. This keeps the conversation moving. Let's address the silence fear. Sometimes, when speaking alone, you suddenly stop. Your brain freezes. That is normal. Instead of stopping completely, use filler bridges. Simple phrases like, "Let me think." "That's a good question." "How can I explain this?" "What I mean is..." These phrases buy you time. They keep you speaking. Even native speakers use them. Silence is not failure, but learning to move through silence is skill. Here is a powerful exercise, narration mode. Throughout the day, narrate small actions out loud when alone. For example, I am putting on my shoes. I am checking my phone. I need to send this email. It feels simple, but narration builds fluency in present tense automatically, and present tense is the foundation of daily conversation. Let's go deeper into emotional control. Sometimes the problem is not vocabulary, it is nervous system reaction. When you think about speaking English, your heart rate increases, your breathing changes. This is fight or flight response. To control it, Practice slow breathing while speaking. Inhale slowly. Speak one sentence. Pause. Inhale again. Control the rhythm. When your breathing is calm, your speech becomes calm. Fluency is not speed. Fluency is flow. And flow comes from calm breathing. Imagine you follow this daily. 3 minutes speaking, 1 recording, 1 improvement, small narration during the day. After 2 weeks, you will notice something. Your voice feels less foreign. It feels more familiar, more natural, more yours. And that psychological shift is huge, because once you accept your English voice, you stop hiding it. And once you stop hiding it, you start growing faster. Let me tell you something important. The goal is not to impress people. The goal is to express yourself. English is not about sounding intelligent. It is about being understood. And understanding grows from repetition. Not talent, not intelligence, repetition. In the next part, we will combine thinking and speaking with something even more powerful. Shadowing, a technique that rewires pronunciation and rhythm faster than traditional study. But before we move on, your assignment is simple. Today, speak out loud for 3 minutes. Topic: why I want to improve my English. No script, just speak, and record it. That recording is your starting point. One day, you will listen to it again, and you will be proud of how far you have come. This is English Teaching Friends. You are not silent anymore. You are training your voice, and your voice matters. When you're ready, say, continue to Part 4. Part 4. Speak like you hear. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that some learners know a lot of vocabulary? They understand grammar. They can read difficult articles. But when they speak, it sounds unnatural, slow, disconnected, robotic. Why does that happen? Because they learned English visually. But English is not only visual, it is musical. English has rhythm, it has melody, it has stress, it has emotion. And if you don't train your ear and your mouth together, your speech will always feel separate from real conversation. That is where shadowing changes everything. What is shadowing? Shadowing is when you listen to a sentence and immediately repeat it, trying to copy not just the words, but the sound, the speed, the emotion, the rhythm. You are not translating, you are not analyzing grammar, you are copying music, because language is music. Let me explain why this is powerful. When children learn language, they don't study grammar first. They copy, they imitate, they exaggerate, they repeat sounds they hear around them. That repetition builds natural rhythm. As adults, we forget imitation. We try to understand everything logically. But pronunciation is physical, and rhythm is auditory. So shadowing reconnects you to natural learning. Here is how to do it correctly. Step 1. Choose the right material. Not too fast, not too complicated. Clear American English if your goal is the United States. Podcast clips, short YouTube lessons, audiobooks with clear narration. Start with 30 seconds to 1 minute. Short, very short. Do not choose a 10-minute speech immediately. We train small. Step 2. Listen once without speaking. Just listen. Pay attention to where the speaker pauses, which words are stronger, which words are softer, where the voice goes up, where it goes down. English intonation rises and falls. It is not flat. Notice the music. Step 3. Play one sentence. Pause. Repeat. But here is the important part. Do not repeat slowly at first. Try to match the original speed, even if you fail, even if you stumble, even if you miss words. Your goal is not perfection. Your goal is rhythm matching. This trains automaticity. Let me give you an example. Imagine the original sentence is, "I didn't expect it to be that difficult." When the native speaker says it, it might sound like, "I didn't expect it to be that difficult." Notice how words connect. English connects sounds. It does not separate every word clearly. So when you shadow, you must connect them too. Not artificially, but naturally. Over time, your mouth begins to copy these patterns automatically. Now let's talk about something important. Do not look at subtitles at first. If you look at text immediately, your brain shifts to reading mode. We want listening mode. Listening builds sound memory. After 2 or 3 repetitions, then you can check the text if needed. But train your ear first, not your eyes. Here's the deeper science behind this. Your brain has mirror neurons. When you hear a sound and try to copy it, those neurons activate. They strengthen pathways for pronunciation. The more you repeat, the stronger those pathways become, and eventually, your mouth moves more naturally, without conscious effort. Now let's address frustration. In the beginning, shadowing feels impossible. The speaker is too fast. You cannot catch every word. You feel behind. That is normal. Do not stop. Reduce the clip length. Maybe just one short sentence. Practice that sentence 5 times, 10 times, 15 times. Repetition removes difficulty. What feels impossible today feels manageable in 1 week. Now let's talk about emotion. When shadowing, copy emotion too. If the speaker sounds excited, you sound excited. If the speaker sounds calm, you sound calm. Emotion affects pronunciation. When you speak emotionally, your rhythm becomes more natural. Flat emotion equals flat speech. So exaggerate slightly. It helps. I want you to understand something. Shadowing is not memorizing. It is absorbing patterns. After 2 weeks of daily shadowing, you will notice something interesting. Certain sentence structures come out of your mouth faster. Common phrases become automatic. Your pronunciation becomes smoother. And most importantly, your confidence increases because your speech begins to sound more natural. Not perfect, but natural. Here is a structured daily shadowing routine. 5 minutes. That's it. Minute 1, listen only. Minute 2, sentence by sentence repetition. Minute 3, repeat without pausing the audio. Try to follow in real time. Minute 4, repeat again, focusing on rhythm. Minute 5, speak the sentences alone without audio. This builds independence. 5 minutes daily, not 1 hour once a week. Daily repetition beats occasional intensity. Now let me warn you about one mistake. Do not shadow random advanced speeches immediately. If the language is too complex, your brain focuses on vocabulary stress. Choose slightly above your level, not far above. Growth happens just beyond comfort, not far beyond comprehension. Another powerful variation is record and compare. Shadow the sentence, record yourself, then play the original and your version. Compare. Not to criticize yourself, but to observe differences. Maybe your stress is different. Maybe your pace is slower. That awareness guides improvement. Imagine practicing this for 30 days. Your ears become sharper. You catch linking sounds. You notice intonation patterns. When someone speaks to you in real life, you understand more easily because you trained your ear. Listening and speaking grow together. They are connected. Let me say something important. Shadowing is uncomfortable at first because it exposes your weaknesses, but exposure builds strength. Avoiding discomfort keeps you average. Embrace small discomfort daily, and you will not recognize your speech in 2 months. Let's imagine a future moment. You are having a conversation, and suddenly you use a phrase you practiced during shadowing, automatically, without thinking. That moment feels powerful because it proves growth, and growth builds motivation. Motivation builds consistency. Consistency builds fluency. In the next part, we will combine thinking, speaking, and shadowing into simulated conversations. We will train real-life response speed. Because conversation is not about long speeches, it is about fast, clear responses. But before moving forward, your assignment is simple. Choose one short English clip today, 30 seconds. Shadow it for 5 minutes. That's it. Do it tomorrow again, and the next day. Small repetition, big transformation. This is English teaching, friends. You are not just learning English, you are rewiring your sound. You are training rhythm. You are building natural speech. When you're ready, say, continue to part 5. Let me ask you something very honest. When someone suddenly speaks to you in English, what scares you more? Is it grammar? Is it vocabulary? Or is it the speed of response? For most learners, the real fear is this: I don't know what to say immediately. Conversation is fast. There is no pause button. There is no time to translate slowly. You must respond. And that pressure creates anxiety. But here is something powerful. Conversation speed can be trained, even alone. Yes, alone. Most learners think, if I don't have a speaking partner, I can't practice conversation. That belief is false, because conversation is simply a question and a response. That's it. So if you can create questions, you can create conversation. And if you can answer them out loud, you are training real-time speaking. Today, I will show you how to simulate real conversations by yourself. We call this two-voice simulation. But don't worry, you are still one person. You simply play both roles. Step 1. Choose a real-life situation. Very practical. For example, ordering coffee, talking to a coworker, introducing yourself, small talk at a party, talking to your neighbor, job interview, phone call to customer service. Start simple. Let's use an example. Ordering coffee. You say, "Hi, can I get a medium coffee, please?" Now switch roles. Answer as the cashier. "Sure. Would you like cream or sugar?" Switch again. "Just a little milk, please." Switch again. "That'll be $4. Continue the dialogue, out loud, even if it feels silly. Why is this powerful? Because you are training reaction speed. You are training structure memory. You are building automatic responses, and automatic responses reduce fear. Let's go deeper. Many learners freeze not because they don't know English, but because they haven't practiced common situations. So let's practice common situations alone. For example, small talk at work. You ask yourself, "How was your weekend?" Answer, "It was pretty relaxing. I stayed home and watched a movie." Ask again, "What kind of movie?" Answer again, "It was an action movie. I needed something exciting." Keep going. Do not stop after one answer. Push the conversation forward. Real conversations are layered. They move forward. Now I want you to understand something important. In real life, people repeat common patterns. Most conversations are predictable, not random. At work, people ask about weekends. At the gym, people talk about workouts. At school, people talk about assignments. At a restaurant, people ask about food. If you simulate these patterns alone, you are preparing for 80% of real conversations. That is efficient training. Let's build a more advanced simulation. Imagine a job interview. Ask yourself, "Can you tell me about yourself?" Pause. Answer out loud, not in your head. Speak. Maybe you say, "My name is Daniel. I have 5 years of experience in customer service. I'm hardworking and reliable." Then ask a follow-up question. "What are your strengths?" Answer again. Push yourself, even if your grammar is imperfect. This builds response muscle. Now here is a powerful technique, time pressure simulation. Set a timer for 10 seconds. Ask yourself a question. You must begin answering before the timer ends. This reduces hesitation. Hesitation is often a habit. We can break habits. Let's talk about mistakes. During simulation, you will make grammar mistakes. Good. That means you are pushing. If you only speak safe sentences, you do not grow. Challenge yourself to expand. Instead of saying, "My weekend was good," say, "My weekend was good because I finally had time to relax and focus on myself." Longer sentences build fluency stamina. Now I want to introduce something called emotional rehearsal. Real conversations include emotion, excitement, frustration, surprise. Practice adding emotion to your simulation. For example, "Really? That's amazing." Or, "Oh no, that sounds difficult." Emotion trains intonation. Intonation trains naturalness. Flat speech sounds robotic. Emotional speech sounds human. Let's slow down and think about confidence. Confidence in conversation comes from familiarity. If your brain has already practiced a situation, real life feels less threatening. It's like rehearsing before a presentation. The more you rehearse, the less you panic. Simulation is rehearsal, private rehearsal, powerful rehearsal. Here's a structured daily practice for simulation. 5 minutes. Choose one situation. Create at least 6 exchanges. Speak both roles. No reading from paper, only thinking and speaking. After finishing, reflect. Where did you pause? Where did you feel stuck? Practice that part again. Deliberate repetition fixes weakness. Now, let's combine everything you learned so far. Part 2 taught you thinking in English. Part 3 trained your voice. Part 4 trained rhythm with shadowing. Now Part 5 trains conversation speed. You are building layers, layer by layer. This is not random practice. This is system building. Imagine yourself 30 days from now. Someone says, "Hey, how's it going?" And instead of freezing, you respond naturally. Pretty good, just staying busy. How about you? That small exchange feels huge because it represents growth. Small wins build identity, and identity builds long-term success. Let me ask you something important. Do you want to be someone who understands English or someone who uses English? Understanding is passive, using is active, and usage requires repetition. Alone practice builds public performance. Many learners wait for confidence before speaking, but confidence comes after speaking, not before. You must act first. Confidence follows action, always. Before we move to the next part, I want to give you today's assignment. Simulate one real-life situation, out loud. Minimum 5 exchanges. No reading, no script, just speak. Even if you feel awkward, awkwardness is temporary. Growth is permanent. In the next part, we will talk about something deeper, fear, embarrassment, and how to remove the psychological barrier that stops many learners from speaking even when they know the words. Because fluency is not only skill, it is mindset. This is English Teaching Friends. You are no longer waiting for a partner. You are building your own practice system, and that is powerful. When you are ready, say, continue to Part 6. Part 6. The real enemy is not grammar. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Your biggest problem is not vocabulary. It is not pronunciation. It is not grammar. Your biggest problem is emotional reaction. Yes, emotion. Because the moment you open your mouth to speak English, your body reacts. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing changes. Your mind says, what if I make a mistake? What if they don't understand me? What if they laugh? That reaction is automatic. It happens in seconds. And if you don't control it, it controls you. Let's understand something clearly. Your brain is designed to protect you. Thousands of years ago, protection meant survival. Danger meant physical threat. Today, your brain sometimes treats social embarrassment as danger. When you speak English and feel nervous, your brain activates a small fight or flight response. It thinks you are at risk, but you are not. You are just speaking, and speaking a second language is not danger. It is growth. But your brain needs training to understand that. Here is the first truth you must accept. Making mistakes in English does not reduce your value. It does not reduce your intelligence. It does not reduce your identity. It simply shows you are learning. Native speakers make mistakes too. They say the wrong word. They forget names. They correct themselves, but they continue speaking. The difference between fluent speakers and learners is not perfection. It is tolerance for mistakes. Let me ask you something honestly. When you hear someone speaking broken English, do you laugh? Do you judge them harshly? Usually no. You try to understand. You appreciate their effort. So why do you assume others will judge you? Often the fear is imagined, not real. Now let's address embarrassment. Embarrassment comes from expectation. You expect yourself to sound perfect, but perfection is unrealistic. Instead, change your expectation. Expect progress, not perfection. Say this to yourself. I am allowed to make mistakes while improving. Say it again. I am allowed to make mistakes while improving. This sentence reduces pressure. Pressure blocks fluency. Relaxation unlocks fluency. Let's talk about identity. Many learners secretly believe, I'm not good at languages. That belief becomes self-fulfilling. Because if you believe you are not good, you avoid speaking. Avoidance reduces practice. Less practice slows improvement, and slow improvement confirms your belief. This is a negative loop. We must break it. Replace the belief with "I'm training my English," not "I'm bad," not "I'm slow," just "I'm training." Training implies progress. Progress implies possibility. Now, I want you to imagine something. Picture two versions of yourself. Version 1 stays silent, afraid of mistakes, avoiding conversations. Version 2 speaks imperfectly, makes small errors, but continues. Which version improves faster? Obviously, version 2. So the real question is, which version do you choose to become? Here's a powerful exercise. Deliberate imperfection. Yes, deliberate. Today, when you practice alone, intentionally say a sentence even if you are unsure about grammar. Do not stop. Do not correct immediately. Finish the idea first. This trains tolerance. Tolerance reduces fear. Fear reduces silence. Let's talk about comparison. Comparison destroys confidence. You watch fluent speakers on YouTube, you compare yourself, you feel behind. But you are comparing your Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 20. That is unfair. Measure yourself against your past version, not someone else's present. Ask, am I better than 1 month ago? If yes, you are winning. Now let's go deeper into nervous system control. When fear appears, your breathing becomes shallow. Shallow breathing increases anxiety. So before speaking, practice this. Inhale slowly for 4 seconds. Hold for 2. Exhale slowly for 6 seconds. Then speak. Slow breathing tells your brain there is no danger, and your speech becomes smoother. Calm body equals calm voice. Another important truth: fluency grows outside comfort zone. If you only speak when you feel ready, you will wait forever. Readiness comes after action. Courage is not absence of fear. It is speaking despite fear. Every time you speak despite fear, you weaken fear and strengthen confidence. Let me share something important. Confidence is built from evidence. Evidence comes from experience. If you avoid speaking, you have no positive evidence. If you speak and survive, you collect evidence. Evidence says, I spoke and nothing bad happened. Collect enough evidence and fear decreases naturally. Let's address accent insecurity. Many learners worry about sounding foreign, but having an accent is normal. Even native English speakers have different accents. New York sounds different from Texas. California sounds different from Boston. Accent is identity. Clarity is priority. Focus on being clear, not sounding identical. Here is another mental shift. Instead of asking, what if I make a mistake? Ask, what if I improve today? Instead of, what if they judge me? Ask, what if they respect my effort? Shift your question. Shift your outcome. Now imagine something powerful. 1 year from now, you look back at today. Will you regret speaking imperfect English, or will you regret staying silent? Most regrets come from inaction, not mistakes. Mistakes fade. Silence stays. Let's make something clear. Fluency is not a personality trait.
It is repetition plus emotional control. You are already building repetition. Now you are building emotional strength. That combination creates unstoppable progress. Here's today's assignment. When practicing speaking alone, if you feel embarrassed, do not stop. Continue for 1 more minute, just one. That extra minute trains resilience. Resilience builds identity, and identity shapes your future. In the next part, we will combine everything into a powerful 30-day solo transformation plan, a clear structure, step by step, because discipline turns intention into results. This is English teaching, friends. You are stronger than your fear. You are bigger than your mistakes, and you are capable of fluency. When you are ready, say, continue to Part 7.
Part 7. Discipline creates fluency. Let me ask you something important. How many times have you felt motivated to improve your English, but after a few days, you stopped? Not because you didn't care, but because you didn't have structure. Motivation feels strong in the beginning, but motivation fades. Discipline continues, and discipline needs a system. Today, I will give you a simple 30-day system, not complicated, not overwhelming, not 2 hours a day, but powerful enough to create real change, if you follow it consistently. Before we start, understand this clearly. You do not need more information. You need repetition. Many learners watch endless videos, collect tips, save lessons, but rarely repeat one method long enough to see results. This plan is about repetition. Small daily actions, repeated for 30 days. Because 30 days of focused practice can shift your identity. Here's the structure. 4 pillars: thinking, speaking, shadowing, simulation. You already learned all 4. Now we combine them. Let's break it down. Total daily time, about 25 minutes. Yes, 25 minutes. That's less than 1 episode of a TV show. But these 25 minutes must be focused. No scrolling, no distractions, full attention. Pillar 1, English thinking. 5 minutes daily. Not sitting quietly, active thinking. When you wake up, describe your morning. When you walk, describe what you see. When you cook, narrate what you are doing. No translation, direct English thoughts. 5 total minutes spread throughout the day. This builds automatic processing. Pillar 2, structured speaking. 5 minutes. Choose one topic, very simple. Examples: why I want to improve English, my daily routine, my job, my future goals. Set a timer. Speak continuously. If you pause, use bridge phrases. Let me think, or what I mean is. Do not stop. Flow matters more than grammar. After finishing, quickly reflect. Where did I hesitate? Practice that part again. Pillar 3, shadowing. 5 minutes. Choose a 30-second audio clip. Clear American English. Listen once, repeat sentence by sentence, then try repeating along with the speaker. Focus on rhythm and stress, not perfection. This trains natural sound patterns. Pillar 4, conversation simulation. 5 to 10 minutes. Pick one real-life situation. Order food, small talk, job interview, phone call. Create at least 6 exchanges. Speak both roles. Add emotion. Push beyond simple answers. This trains response speed.
Now imagine doing this daily. Day 1 feels awkward. Day 3 feels slightly easier. Day 7 feels more natural. Day 14 feels structured. Day 20 feels automatic. Day 30 feels powerful. Why? Because repetition builds identity. You stop being someone who wants to improve. You become someone who practices daily. Identity shift changes everything. Let's talk about something important. Consistency beats intensity. Do not practice 2 hours one day and skip 3 days. Better to practice 25 minutes daily than 2 hours once a week. Your brain grows from frequency, not from occasional effort. Now let's talk about tracking progress. At the beginning of day 1, record yourself speaking for 2 minutes, any topic. Save that recording. Do not judge it, just save it. Then complete your 30 days. On day 30, record again. Same topic if possible. Then compare. That comparison will shock you because progress feels invisible daily, but visible monthly. Tracking creates motivation. Let's discuss something deeper. Some days you will feel tired, busy, unmotivated. On those days, reduce time, but do not skip completely. Even 10 minutes is better than 0. Why? Because skipping breaks identity. Short practice maintains momentum. Momentum is powerful. Here's another important principle. Protect your practice time. Treat it like an appointment, not optional, not flexible. If you respect your practice, your progress respects you. If you treat it casually, results will be casual. Now imagine something powerful. You complete 30 days. You feel more confident. You speak faster. You hesitate less. What happens next? You repeat another 30 days. Growth compounds, like interest in a bank account. Small daily deposits, big long-term return. Let's talk about mental resistance. Some days your brain will say, "You're tired. You'll do it tomorrow. 5 minutes doesn't matter." It does matter, because discipline is built when you act despite resistance. Each time you act anyway, you strengthen self-control. Self-control builds confidence. Confidence improves speaking. Everything is connected. Now I want you to visualize something clearly. Imagine meeting someone new. They ask, "So, how long have you been studying English?" And instead of feeling embarrassed, you answer confidently, "I practice every day." That sentence feels strong because it reflects discipline, not talent. Discipline. Let's address something important. Do not expect perfection in 30 days. Expect noticeable improvement. Improvement builds belief. Belief fuels long-term success. Fluency is a marathon, but confidence can grow quickly, and confidence changes how others see you. Now, here is your 30-day commitment. Not complicated, not overwhelming. 5 minutes thinking, 5 minutes speaking, 5 minutes shadowing, 5 to 10 minutes simulation. Daily. 30 days. No excuses. Small daily effort, big identity shift. Let me ask you something serious. If you cannot invest 25 minutes in your future, who will? No one can practice for you. No one can build your fluency for you. This is your responsibility, and that is empowering because it means you are in control. In the next part, we will talk about long-term growth, beyond 30 days, how to avoid plateau, how to continue evolving, because improvement does not stop, it expands. This is English teaching, friends. You are not waiting anymore. You have a system, you have structure. Now you need action. When you are ready, say, continue to part 8.
Let me tell you something important before we begin. There will come a moment when you feel stuck again. Not at the beginning, but after improvement. You will practice for weeks. You will notice growth. Then suddenly, progress feels slower. You speak better than before, but not as good as you want. You understand more, but not everything. You feel better, but not confident enough. This stage is called a plateau, and it is normal, not failure, normal. Many learners quit at the plateau stage. Why? Because early improvement feels exciting. You go from 0 to something. That jump feels huge. But later, improvements become smaller and more subtle. And subtle progress feels invisible. But invisible does not mean absent. It means advanced. Let's understand why plateaus happen. At the beginning, you improve fast because you are fixing obvious weaknesses: basic vocabulary, basic confidence, basic pronunciation. Once those improve, the brain requires more refined practice, more detailed correction, more precision. That feels slower, but it is deeper, and deeper growth creates real fluency. Now here is how to break a plateau. Step 1. Increase challenge slightly, not dramatically, slightly. If you were practicing simple topics, move to slightly complex ones. If you were shadowing slow clips, choose slightly faster ones. If you were simulating basic conversations, add unexpected questions. Growth requires stretching, but not overwhelming. Step 2. Add specificity. Instead of speaking about my day, speak about a difficult conversation I had. Instead of my job, explain a problem I solved at work. Specificity forces vocabulary expansion, and vocabulary expansion pushes growth. Step 3. Improve clarity and structure. At beginner stage, speaking at all is success. At intermediate stage, organization matters. Practice structuring your speech like this: opening idea, supporting detail, example, conclusion. For example, I believe learning English alone is possible. For example, I practice daily by speaking out loud and shadowing short clips. Because of this, I've noticed real improvement. Structured thinking builds advanced fluency. Now let's talk about listening evolution. Early learners focus on understanding words. Intermediate learners must focus on understanding tone and intention. Ask yourself while listening, is the speaker joking, serious, sarcastic, excited? Understanding emotion improves conversational reaction, and reaction speed increases confidence. Let's address something critical. Comparison will return. You will see fluent speakers again. You will think, I'm still not there. But remember this: fluency is not a finish line. Even native speakers expand vocabulary their whole lives. The goal is not to arrive. The goal is to communicate effectively and grow continuously. Shift your goal from perfection to progress. That shift removes pressure.
Now I want you to imagine something powerful.
6 months from today, you consistently practiced. You broke plateaus. You increased challenge gradually. Someone new meets you. They don't see your fear. They see your confidence. They don't hear hesitation. They hear flow. That version of you is created by daily discipline, not sudden talent. Let's talk about expansion. After 30 days of solo practice, add one external element. Maybe one short real conversation per week, one online discussion, one phone call in English. You built foundation alone. Now you test it in reality. Testing builds courage. Courage builds mastery. Here is another powerful strategy. Teach what you learn, even if you are not fluent. Explain something simple in English to someone else. Teaching organizes knowledge, and organized knowledge becomes automatic speech. You do not need to be an expert to explain basic concepts. You only need to be one step ahead. Now let's discuss mental stamina. Long conversations require mental endurance, so gradually increase speaking time from 3 minutes to 5, from 5 to 10. Speaking stamina prevents mental exhaustion during real discussions. This is advanced training. Let's talk about identity again. If you say, "I'm trying to improve my English," that sounds temporary. If you say, "I practice English daily," that sounds committed. Language shapes identity. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior shapes results. Choose your identity carefully. Now imagine something deeper. You no longer fear English. You see it as a tool, not a threat. You enjoy expressing ideas. You feel proud of improvement. That emotional shift is true fluency. Fluency is not perfect grammar. It is comfort using the language. Here is something powerful to remember. Growth is not always visible. Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, your brain is reorganizing, strengthening pathways, automating responses. Trust the process. Consistency creates invisible growth before visible success. Now let me ask you something serious. Why are you learning English? For better opportunities? For career growth? For communication? For confidence? Keep that reason clear. When progress feels slow, return to your reason. Purpose fuels persistence. Now here is your plateau action plan. If progress feels slow, increase challenge slightly, add specificity, refine structure, expand listening focus, test yourself in small, real interactions, and continue daily practice. Never stop completely. Short breaks are okay. Quitting is not. Let's visualize one final scene. You are in a real conversation. You don't think about grammar. You don't think about mistakes. You think about ideas. You express yourself. And afterward, you realize you didn't translate. That moment is freedom. And freedom comes from repetition plus resilience. In the next and final part, we will lock everything together: mindset, discipline, long-term identity. Because the final transformation is not about English. It is about who you become through learning it. This is English Teaching Friends. You are not stuck. You are evolving. When you're ready, say, continue to Part 9. Part 9. Becoming the person who speaks English naturally. Let me ask you something powerful. What if learning English is not really about language?
It's about transformation. Because think about this. When you started this journey, you were someone who said, I want to improve. But after consistent practice, you become someone who says, I practice daily. That shift is huge. One is a wish. The other is identity. And identity changes behavior automatically. Most learners focus only on skill, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation. But long-term fluency is built on identity. If you still see yourself as a shy English learner, you will act like one. If you see yourself as a disciplined English speaker in training, you act differently. You speak more. You practice consistently. You tolerate mistakes. Identity directs action. Let's slow down. Right now, how do you describe yourself? Be honest. Do you say, my English is bad? Or do you say, my English is improving? Those two sentences create two different futures. The first sentence limits you. The second one grows you. Language shapes reality, especially the language you use about yourself. Here is something most people never realize. Fluency is not sudden, it's gradual. One day you don't notice it. Then suddenly you respond faster. You hesitate less. You understand jokes. You stop translating. It feels natural. But that natural moment was built from hundreds of small practices, invisible daily effort. Now I want you to imagine something powerful. Picture yourself in a real conversation 6 months from now. You are not thinking about grammar. You are focused on meaning. You're listening, responding, laughing, engaging, and afterward you realize something. You didn't feel afraid. That moment is not luck. It is identity maturity. You no longer see English as foreign. You see it as part of you. Let's talk about integration. At some point, English stops feeling like a subject and starts feeling like a tool. You use it to express opinions, to explain ideas, to connect with people. That's when learning becomes living, and living is powerful. Here is a mindset shift that changes everything. Instead of saying, I'm trying to be fluent, say, I am becoming more fluent every day. Notice the difference. One feels distant, the other feels active. Growth is not a destination, it's a direction, and you are already moving. Let's address something important. There will always be someone better, someone more fluent, someone faster. But this journey is personal. Your starting point was different. Your challenges are different. Your pace is unique. Comparison slows progress. Commitment accelerates it. Focus on your lane. Now I want to talk about fear again, but in a different way. At the beginning, fear was loud. It stopped you. Now, fear may still exist, but it's quieter. Why? Because you acted despite fear. Each time you spoke alone, each time you shadowed, each time you simulated conversation, you told your brain, I can handle this. Confidence is not built by thinking, it is built by doing, repeatedly.
Let's talk about the long game. English is not a 30-day project. It's a lifetime skill. But here's the secret. After the first few months of disciplined practice, maintenance becomes easier. Speaking becomes habit. Listening becomes natural. Thinking becomes automatic. The hardest part is starting. You already started. Now imagine a year from today. You meet someone who is just beginning their English journey.
They feel nervous. They feel stuck. And you tell them, I used to feel the same way. That moment proves transformation, because you are no longer the beginner. You are the guide, and guides were once learners. Here is something deeper. When you learn English alone, you build self-reliance, you build discipline, you build emotional control. Those skills extend beyond language. They improve your confidence in life. That's why this journey matters. It's not just words, it's growth. Let's talk about pride. Not arrogance, but quiet pride. The pride of knowing you didn't quit. The pride of daily effort. The pride of improvement. That pride becomes inner strength, and inner strength shows in your voice. I want you to understand something clearly. You are not behind. You are progressing. You are not weak. You are training. You are not incapable. You are evolving. Say it quietly. I am evolving. Because evolution happens slowly, but powerfully. Now let me ask you something final before we move to the last part. If you continue practicing daily for one more year, even just 20 to 25 minutes a day, what version of you will exist? More confident, more expressive, more comfortable. That version is not imaginary. It is waiting for your consistency. In the final part, we will seal this journey. We will create a commitment, a long-term mindset. Because the difference between learners who succeed and learners who quit is simple. One group continues, the other stops, and you are not stopping. This is English teaching, friends. You are not just learning English, you are becoming someone stronger. When you are ready, say, continue to Part 10.
Part 10. The version of you that speaks confidently already exists. Take a slow breath with me. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale slowly. Now, listen carefully. You started this journey because something inside you wanted more. More confidence, more opportunity, more freedom, more ability to express yourself. English was never just about language. It was about unlocking doors. It was about not feeling small in conversations. It was about not staying silent when you had something to say. And now, after everything we discussed, thinking in English, speaking out loud daily, shadowing natural rhythm, simulating real conversations, breaking fear, following a 30-day structure, breaking plateaus, building identity. There is only one thing left: a decision. Because information does not change your life. Decision does. You can listen to 100 episodes, watch 200 videos, read 10 books, but if you don't decide, I am committing to daily practice, nothing changes. The difference between someone who becomes fluent and someone who stays stuck is not intelligence, it is not talent, it is not even environment, it is commitment. Let me ask you something deeply personal. 1 year from now, if your English stays exactly the same, how will you feel? Disappointed? Frustrated? Regretful? Now imagine the opposite. 1 year from now, you speak clearly, you respond faster, you hesitate less, you don't feel panic when someone talks to you. How will you feel then? Proud? Confident? Free? Both futures are possible, but only one happens if you act daily. Here is the truth most people avoid. No one is coming to save your English. No perfect teacher, no perfect moment, no magical course. You are responsible, and that is powerful. Because if you are responsible, you are in control. Think about how many hours you spend scrolling on your phone, watching random videos, checking social media. Now imagine redirecting just 25 minutes of that time every day for 1 year. That is over 150 hours of focused English training. Do you understand how powerful that is? Consistency turns minutes into transformation. Let me say something clearly. Fluency is not dramatic. It doesn't arrive like fireworks. It arrives quietly. One day you realize you understood without translating. You answered without freezing. You explained without panic. That quiet moment is victory, and victory is built from repetition. You don't need perfect grammar to start speaking. You don't need a perfect accent to be respected. You don't need perfect vocabulary to express ideas. You need courage, and courage grows through action. There will still be days when you feel tired, days when progress feels slow, days when you doubt yourself. But remember this: motivation starts the journey. Discipline finishes it. On difficult days, reduce practice time, but don't stop completely, because stopping resets identity. Small action maintains momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds fluency. Now, let's seal this with something simple. Repeat this in your mind, or say it out loud. I am responsible for my improvement. Again, I am responsible for my improvement. And one more time. I practice daily, even when I don't feel like it. That sentence is power, because it shifts control back to you. Imagine the future version of you, standing in a conversation, calm, clear, comfortable. That person is not a different human. It is you, plus daily repetition, plus courage, plus discipline. That's it. No secret formula, no hidden talent, just consistent effort. Let me tell you something important. When you learn English alone, you prove something to yourself. That you can grow without external validation, that you can build skill through self-discipline, that you are stronger than fear, that confidence can be trained. Those lessons stay with you forever, beyond language. Now, here is your final challenge. For the next 30 days, do not skip 2 days in a row. If you miss one day, the next day is mandatory. Protect your identity. Protect your progress. Protect your commitment. And when someone asks you, how did you improve your English? You won't say, I got lucky. You will say, I practiced daily. And that sentence carries pride, because you earned it. Let me leave you with this thought. Silence keeps you safe, but speaking builds your future. Choose growth over comfort. Choose practice over excuses. Choose progress over perfection. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of disciplined growth. You are not alone. You are building with English teaching friends. If you're ready to commit, write this in your mind. I will practice today. Not tomorrow, today. Because fluency is built one day at a time, and today counts. Stay consistent. Stay disciplined. Keep speaking. Keep believing. I'll see you in the next lesson.
Please subscribe.